let's go to page 418. This is lesson 9-4. And the objective of this lesson is to know the relationship between the center, Foresight, and intercepts of an ellipse and the equation of the ellipse. So first, let's go over the definition of ellipse. So when you have ellipse, okay, the long axis, this is called a major axis. Okay, so this is the major axis. The smaller one is called a minor axis. Okay. And the definition of ellipse is, okay, also over here, this is the center. And this point is called a vertex, V. So this is V. And this point, the end points of the minor axis is the B. Okay. And there are also two important points. Okay, the point over here, this is the focus. Okay, the focus. Now the definition of the ellipse is that any point on the ellipse, so this is called the D1, D2. Okay. So the definition of ellipse is that any point on the ellipse is that D1 plus D2 equal to 2a. So the sum of the two focal radius, so this is called the focal radius, and two of them were focal radii. So two focal radii, the sum of the distance is always equal to a constant number, okay? And that number equal to the major axis, equal to this. So you can see that when you so over here, this distance from here to here, this is your B. Okay. This distance over here, that is your C. I'm going to put on the inside. That's your C. And this is your A. Okay. Now, when you have this A over here, when you slide it over, okay, it also becomes, let me move this a little bit over. Probably it's more, let me see. Right over here. Okay. So here's your A. When you move over, it will also becomes A right over here. Okay, so this is A. When you slide it over, it becomes the hypotenuse of this triangle. Okay, so from here, you remember that A is your longest side. Okay, so over here, from your Pythagorean theorem, you can see that B squared plus C squared equal to A squared. Okay, so be flexible with your variables. Okay, so in this case, the C is not a hypotenuse. A is the hypotenuse. So therefore, A would be on this side over here. So remember on that. Okay. And again, so this is A, so this is 2A. And we can see that if you move the point over here, see if the point is over here, then you're going to get this part and this part right over here. So this plus that will give you, so from here, so this part over here plus that, right? Remember, the ellipse is from point to the focus, right? So you have this plus that, right? So this plus that, if you move this over, it becomes 2A. So you can see that. So that's one of the most obvious one. Okay. If the point is over here, you can see that that's A. This is A, so it can equal to 2A. So you can see that from these 2 points, it's very easy to see why this is so. So again, if the point is over here, the D1, that's A. D2 is also A right over here. So you got A plus A, then you get 2A. If the point is over here, you're going to get this distance plus this distance over here, right? And so if you were to move this to here, and it becomes 2A, right? Because this is A, this is A. So again, you can see easily the definition of the ellipse. Okay. So once you know all the parts, so again, this is the V, this is the V, this is the B, this is the B, okay, and here's your center, and here's the focus, okay, the distance, so easy to remember, okay? So from B, center to B is a B, right? From center to F is a C, from center to V is a A. So A, again, when you rotate this over, it also becomes hypotenuse of the triangle. So make sure you're familiar with the ellipse. Once you know the Pythagorean ellipse, then you can go and from the equation you can get all these parts, or from the parts you can get the equation. Okay, so now when you go to page 420, so on page 420, the equation for ellipse. So this is the long way. So when it's like this, this is going to be in the x direction. You always refer to the major axes. So if this is a long way, so this would be x. So you're going to get, your equation would be like x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equal to 1. So this is the equation for this ellipse. Okay. Now, if the ellipse is going the long way, if the ellipse is going like this way, so it's going to be in the y direction, so the big number is going to be under the y. So in this case, you're going to get x squared over b squared plus y squared over a squared equal to 1. Okay. So if it's a long way, so long way is in the y direction, so the bigger number is going to under the y. Okay. So make sure you're familiar with this. So now we're going to go over some examples to see how this works. Okay, so let's go to page 420, example 1. So you have 4x squared plus y squared equal to 64. So first thing you want to do is put it in the standard form. So you have to make the right hand side equal to 1. And so the way to do that is divide by 64. So again, you have to make this equal to 1. So divide by 64. So this cancel out. So you got x squared over 16 plus y squared over 64 equal to 1. Okay, so now to graph this is actually fairly simple. Okay, so once you get that, let's go and do the graphing. So this is example 1. Okay, so what you do is, this is equal to, if you remember your equation, so this is a square, right? And the big number is always a. So from here you can see that a is equal to a squared equal to 64. So a equal to 8. Okay? So again, big number is always a. So this is a squared. So this would be b squared equal to 16. So b equal to 4. Okay, so you take the square root. Then from here, okay, first you have to plot your center. So there's no parentheses. So your center is always at 0, 0. Okay, so that's your center. Okay, based on that. Okay, if there's a parentheses, for example, if you have like x minus 3 squared, right, over here, then your center is going to be at 3. Okay, but right now there's no parentheses, so your center is always going to be at 0, 0. Okay. And then from here, see that a equal to 8, right? See, this number is under the y. That means you have to go in the y direction 8. So you go 8. So it's right over here. And since this is a bigger number, so this is your major axis. So this would be the v. Okay? And this over here, the b, see over here, is under the x. So you have to go in the x direction. So that's right. If you keep track of where the direction is, then it will be fairly easy. Again, this is under the x, so you go into the x direction and go by 4. Okay, and so kind of just, so that's your ellipse. Okay, so don't waste time like the book, in the book they ask you to make a table. It just takes too much time. Okay, the next thing you have to do is find the Foresight. So to find so looking for f. So to find f, you have to use the Pythagorean theorem. So remember, a is always the biggest number. So you're going to get b squared plus c squared equal to a squared. Again, remember the a is your hypotenuse, right? From here, so you can see the triangle. So you got b squared plus c squared equal to a squared. A is always the biggest number. So you substitute into here. So b squared is over here 16. And a squared is 64. Okay. So minus 16 on both sides. So you got c squared equal to 48. And take the square root, so c equal to square root of 48. And so you go off to the side. So this comes out, this comes out. So c equal to 4 square root of 3. Okay. So 4 square root of 3, that is your distance. This is for labeling. But to locate these, what you want to do is you want to use a calculator to figure out where that is. So 48 square root of that. So this is approximately equal to 6.9. So about 7. Okay? So again, when you label, you have to use the exact answer. But the decimal will help you to locate where the things is. So 6.9. Now C and A are always in the same direction. Okay, so C is always on the long axis. So 6.9, it's about 7, so you go up 7. So it's going to be right over here. So that's the F. Okay, so here's the center, and the F is right over here. So again, when you label, right, you start at 0, 0, that's your center. When you go up, you add. So when you go up, this is, so X does not change. So X stay the same. When you go up, it's the Y. So you change the Y. So from 0, you go up this much. So it'll be 0, 4 square root of 3. Okay? When you go down, you have to subtract. So you can start with, the center is your starting point. So you start, so again, when you go up and down, the X stay the same. Okay, so X does not change. When you go up and down, only the Y change. So you start at 0, you go down, you have to subtract by this much. So it'll be negative 4 square root of 3. Okay, so those are your two Foresight. So that's it. Okay, so again, here's your graph, and here are your focus. Okay, so again, once you know all your parts, then after a few practice, then it's not too difficult. Okay, let's go to example 2. Okay, it says find the equation of ellipse with the x-intercept. So x-intercept at square root of 2 and negative square root of 2. So you don't know if it is a v or b yet. Okay, so and you got y-intercept equal to 3 and negative 3, and you're looking for equation. So again, it helps is if you sketch it out. Okay, so example 2. This one is really easy. You don't have to really sketch it out, but I'm going to sketch out just to help you to visualize. So y-intercept is 3, negative 3, and this is about 1.4. So x-intercept is about 1.4. So that's your ellipse. It's going to look something like this. Okay. Now what you want to do is, by looking at this, first you have to figure out your center. So you can see that the center is going to be at 0, 0. Okay? And that is going to be your parentheses. So technically, you will have an x minus 0 squared. So this is your template. Okay, so get your template ready. So 0, so it'd be x minus 0, y minus 0. Okay, so basically that's what it is. So what if this go in the parentheses? Okay, now if you look up here, the x, right? See up here, x is square of 2, so you square that, you're going to get 2. Okay, this over here, you see the 3, so you square it, you're going to get 9. Okay, and that's it. And you get rid of the 0, so you got x squared over 2 plus y squared over 9 equal to 1. Okay, and that's your answer. Okay. So again, if you sketch it out, it's fairly simple. Okay, okay, now let's go to example 3. Okay, example 3, it says find the equation of ellipse having the Foresight at -3, 0, and 3, 0. And the sum of focal radii, that means 2a, sum of focal radii, that means 2a, is equal to 12. Okay, so sum of focal radii, again, that's this over here, right? So you got sum of 2 radii equal to 2a. Okay. So again, if helps, if you sketch, so from here you can see that a equal to 6. Okay. So divide by 2, divide by 2. So this is the important number. Okay, so again, sketch out. When you can visualize, it makes things a lot easier. Okay, so there's your x, this is your y. Okay, so the focus is -3, 0, so -3, 0 is right over here. And 3, 0. Okay, and by the way, get your template ready. Okay, you always have x over here, y over here. Okay, so that's your template. Okay, so from here, you have to find your center. Center is a midpoint between the two, so you just average the two. But from here, you also can see very easy that the center, the midpoint between them is going to be a 0, 0. Okay, so the center, so from here, by sketching these, you can see that the center is going to be a 0, 0. So that means you put it in here. Okay, that's what you put down in here. Okay, now next thing is a equal to 6. Okay, so the a always is a long axis, so it's always along the one with the f. So a equal to 6 means start from here, it goes 6 this way, so that's the v. So it goes 6 this way, that's the v. So your vertex is going to be at 6, 0, and -6, 0. Okay, so from here we can see that the 36 goes over here. Okay, you have to square that, right? So a equal to 6, so you square that. And it's very easy to keep track because this is in the x direction, so when you square it, it will go under the x. Okay, so now we have to figure out this number over here, and that's the b. To figure out the b, we have to use Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, so remember the Pythagorean Theorem, b squared plus c squared equal to a squared, right? Okay. Because a is always the biggest number. The b is what you're looking for. Now c, again from here. Okay, so the center to f, that's the c. Okay, so from here you can see that c equal to 3, right? And a equal to 6. So you're going to get 3 squared equal to 6 squared. Okay, and then go and work it out. Okay, b squared equal to 27. Now, it does not ask you to solve for b. It does not ask you to graph. So you don't need to do extra stuff. So once you find b squared, it's going to go under here. Okay, remember this is the b squared, right? Now, in case if they ask you to graph, then all you have to do is just take the square root. Okay, and again, get your calculator to get an approximation. Is about 5.2. So in this example, it does not ask you for it, but I'm just doing the extra to just help you to have a better understanding. So b is 5.2. So it's about 5. Okay, so that's the b. And again, when you label, you have to use the exact. Don't use a decimal because this is an approximation. So this would be when you go up, the x stay the same. When you go up, the y change by this much, so it would be 3 square root of 3. When you go down, the x stay the same, and the y will go down with minus, so it would be minus 3 square root of 3. Okay? And then you just go and sketch your ellipse. So when you sketch, you might want to use the pencil first. Okay, so use a pencil, and once you get a nice shape, you can trace it over with your pen. Okay. All right. So here, and Okay, so once you do that, you want to get rid of the 0. Okay, so x minus 0 is still x, right? So you got x squared over 36 plus y squared over 27 equal to 1.